ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Wednesday, March 18th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. It's open now, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We've got coming up in the next few minutes, Devin Miller. Devin, the Assistant Director of Athletics, Ticket Sales, and Operations, Marshall University. So we're going to catch up with him. It's our usual Wednesday conversation with somebody from Marshall University. And this week it's going to be Devin. Got a lot to talk about. Of course, the Marshall women are in the WNIT. We'll host a second-round game. That'll be Monday evening, 6 o'clock at the Henderson Center, either against Ohio or UMBC. Of course, tickets for the game available now. Devin's going to tell us more about that when we talk to him in the next few minutes. But until then, I want to get the text line going because I'm kind of curious about where you're at right now. Earlier today, we got the message earlier in the morning, hey, there's going to be a press conference. We'd like you to attend. And then, of course, the Board of Governors met and made the decision to reinstate the swimming and diving program at Marshall University. Of course, there was a lawsuit that was going to be heard. And it was to attempt to reinstate or a stay to keep the program. I think 15 athletes had signed on to that lawsuit. And you don't want to mess with Title IX. That's something that I've learned, and probably more so now, seeing how everything had worked. And I'm with Brad Smith. I understand there are a lot of moving parts here, and he got some different information. Maybe he didn't have the right information when the decision was made, but he got some different information that, hey, we're trying to increase opportunity to get our numbers right, but at the same time, we can't just take a program away and move that resource over to another program and try to expand that program or even create that program. So the announcement was that there will be swimming and diving at Marshall University, and there will also be the process to get stunt going. That's going to happen. So we're going to see stunt added at Marshall University. And so there was a presser earlier today at Marshall, and we're going to hear some comments from Brad Smith. Also, we'll hear from Gerald Harrison on why the decision was made. And I was watching a little bit of social media earlier as well, kind of idea of how you feel about that. And I've seen some different perspectives on this. I don't think that's the norm, but I've seen some perspectives of, hey, this isn't good for the university. This is not a significant sport at Marshall University. And there are others that are excited and happy that, hey, the university heard, the university got the message. Of course, the lawsuit probably didn't hurt as well as to get everyone's attention because Marshall didn't want to get involved in a lawsuit. Plain and simple. And so it continued to do its due diligence and probably found out and learned that, hey, this isn't really worth the effort. You think you're doing something good and that's admirable, but in reality, you're going to lose this. This isn't the path forward. And so this is what you're going to have to do to make this work and make this right. I mean, if you had student athletes that maybe just didn't want to bother with the fight, maybe this lawsuit doesn't come about. And then Marshall University is without a swimming and diving program. But Brad Smith, Gerald Harrison speaking earlier today, very, I don't want to say humble, but they were willing to admit, hey, this isn't the right path. We've got more information now. We're going to do this moving forward. We're going to resume the swimming and diving program. We're going to hopefully retain most of the student athletes that are on that program. We're going to make sure that we leave the program whole and we don't abandon it as we continue it. And there's probably going to have to be some fundraising. There's going to have to be some investment in the program. And something else that I picked up on, there's a gap right now with Title IX and the numbers. And so Marshall's going to have to do its very best, its due diligence to make sure that all roster spots, all available roster spots are filled to kind of help close the gap. And again, I know I borrow that term from Coach Huff, and I'm going to be using it probably until I retire. But there's a gap right now. And so there will be expanded roster opportunities for Marshall in general across the board for women's athletics. And I think that this potential lawsuit maybe help shed some light on some deficiencies that I think the university was trying to work through ultimately, and it tried to pivot and make a decision that would help it financially by going a different direction. Stunts becoming more and more of a, hey, we need to fill a gap here, and this is an inexpensive way to provide opportunities and fill that gap at the same time. So we'll hear more from Brad Smith in a few minutes. I think you'd rather hear his words on the matter. Also, we'll hear from Gerald Harrison. We'll get your text in 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I flat out asked, and maybe not as eloquently as I'm saying it now, but how are you going to make this work financially? And Gerald was pretty blunt, pretty honest about it. And long story short is, they're going to have to rearrange the budget a little bit. They're going to have to tighten the belt. And Brad outlined, hey, when we got here, this is what the deficit was. This is where it's at now. This is where it's going to be. We're trying to get the university and the athletic department to a 50-50 split. Right now, it's a little over 50% of the athletic department's budget coming from the university. And the goal is to make that 50-50. And you hear some institutions get a lion's share of its athletic budget from, university, foot in the bill. Marshall University wants to be able to at least say that 50% of the revenue, the budget, the athletic department is handling that part of it. And so there's going to be some interesting opportunities, I'm sure, coming as far as raising money, generating money. And to a lot of people's point, there was an outpouring, an outcry of people saying, hey, this is wrong. We want the swimming and diving program. Well, I hope your checkbook is open and ready to go. Hey, this is something we want. Okay, what can you contribute to help make it happen? We're going to have to do it. We got to fund it right. What are you going to do? And so I'm hoping that a lot of people that signed up or protested and made a lot of rageful postings on social media, you've got the victory now. The swim and diving program is back. How do you fund it? How do you support it? And how do you help it move and become sustainable this point forward? I'll take your ideas, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. When we continue, we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening with Marshall. Of course, we've got the WNIT. That's taking place on Monday. Devin Miller joins us on the other side of this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
When it comes to your money, you want a bank that's built to last. KFB, the Better Bank, is proud to be your hometown community bank, serving neighbors, not numbers. We're here for all your financial needs today and well into the future. So if you're looking for a bank that's committed for the long haul, check out our Wheelersburg location today. KFB, the Better Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Charleston. Charlie Behrens is bringing his Lost and Found comedy tour to the Charleston Theater on Friday, March 20th.
In my family, if you get engaged, you get a registry.
Where are the I just got laid off because a robot took my job registries? Where are the I just got my truck repoed registries?
Tickets are available at Ticketmaster.com or the Coliseum box office. Don't miss Charlie Behrens Live, Friday, March 20th at the Charleston Theater.
Tax season just got a lot more exciting at Hometown Chevrolet, your tax refund headquarters. Right now at Hometown Chevrolet, your tax refund can put you behind the wheel of a reliable car, truck, or SUV that you'll love. And with the Hometown Advantage, you'll get free oil changes for life on qualified vehicles and a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty on qualified pre-owned vehicles. That's confidence, that's value, and that's peace of mind. Drive home happy at Hometown Chevrolet, your tax refund headquarters. Hurry in today or shop online at yourhometowንchevy.com.
Looking for midweek fun? Head to Frank's Place, where every night's a party. Wednesdays are full of brains and brews with trivia night. Grab your crew and show off what you know. Thursdays, crank it up with Singo Bingo. Music meets bingo for prizes and laughs. Then Fridays, we hand you the mic for karaoke night. Sing your heart out and start your weekend right. The fun never stops at Frank's Place. Great drinks, great friends, and good times. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check them out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Here's another Kindred Communications community chatter. The Salvation Army of Huntington is excited to announce enrollment for free youth music lessons and dance classes, offering children and teens a creative, encouraging environment to grow in confidence, discipline, and self-expression. If you'd like to sign your children up for these classes, call 304-529-2401.
This Kindred Communications community chatter brought to you by Baum Lumber, your place for quality roof trusses, building materials, hot spring spas, lawn equipment, and more. See baumlumber.com.
Cold weather's on its way, and what do you want on those cold, chilly evenings? A warm blanket and a hot cup of cocoa. Well, you know who else wants the same comfort? Mice. Messy, uninvited guests. They sneak in and leave droppings, chew through your food and packages. Don't let mice take over your home this fall and winter. Call K&B Pest Control. We will kill for your business. Call today, 304-523-4281.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
Your text coming up, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Welcome back. Paul Swann, your host for today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Let's welcome to the program now the Assistant Director of Athletics, Ticket Sales, and Operations, Devin Miller. Devin, good talking to you again.
Good talk to you always, man. I'm glad to be back on.
You got a lot happening. I think probably the biggest thing we want to probably talk about is the fact that there's a postseason basketball tournament game being played Monday at the Cam Henderson Center. The Thundering Herd awaiting the winner of Ohio and UMBC. Doesn't matter who the opponent will be. We know it's going to be Monday, 6 o'clock at the Henderson Center. How are ticket sales on that so far? It's pretty much been a hot ticket for you?
Yeah, they're looking good so far. A lot of our season ticket holders have reclaimed their seats. They're still being held. So if you are a season ticket holder for women's basketball, all you have to do is log into your Herd Zone app and renew, essentially pay for your extra game for the seats. Each lower bowl ticket is $8, and if you already had those courtside seats, I think those are on the accounts waiting for you as well. So, we are excited to be a part of the WNIT and host some basketball games, some postseason basketball.
What's the time limit for season ticket holders before those go out and are made available to others?
We were aiming for Saturday, but if you reach out to me, I'm sure we could work something out where you can get your season tickets back if you missed that. When we go to open it back up to the rest of the public.
Devin Miller's with us, Assistant Director of Athletics Ticket Sales Operations. So that's the big ticket item for Marshall right now, the WNIT. For those that maybe don't have season tickets, what's the game plan if they want to come watch this?
Yeah, tickets will be $8 in the lower bowl for our girls' game, and get in there, be loud, be rowdy, and support this team with who played a great season, and they deserve to go out on a strong note. The way they played basketball all year has been fun to watch, and we've got tons of great scoring ability, and we get after the ball on defense. We get tons of steals, so it's a fun, entertaining product, and I think that the whole city should be there to support these girls in their postseason run.
So instead of maybe waiting to see if a different ticket comes open for, say, a season ticket holder, no matter what the reason, can't come or isn't able to, and that spot opens up, you should go ahead and get your ticket now is probably the best advice.
Yeah. And then I would say be ready to get another one. If we handle business, it's going to be the same type of deal. So it's going to be a fun game, and I think the ticket sales have been promising so far. So.
Anything? I know short notice. You get into the tournament and you got to make this happen and turn everything around. Any promotions, any specials going on inside the arena? Anything you're doing to kind of jazz this up anymore?
Outside of just we also offer $5 tickets for children 12 and under. So it is a family friendly family evening event. I can't say I have anything concessions wise or anything like that I know of yet. But we don't have a theme in place. I think Matt Lewis is waiting to reveal that a little closer to game time, or not closer to game time itself, but probably in a day or so. Something we're going to do marketing wise.
Okay, we don't want to steal Matt's thunder, so we won't. Devin Miller's with us. He is the Assistant Director of Athletics, Ticket Sales, and Operations. So we've got that coming up. It's Monday, 6 o'clock. So basically, if you've got your season tickets and you want to get into this game, go on the app. If you don't have season tickets, get a hold of the ticket office. Go on the app. You can do all of that online and make sure you have your tickets. And then, of course, if Marshall wins, there's the potential to host again, so that'll repeat the process. That's exciting. Of course, we got the spring game coming up. We got a lot of things happening around campus. Let's probably talk first about the spring game, because before we know it, we're going to be here at Jones C. Edwards Stadium watching a little spring ball. I know the Dutch Miller deck has been really popular, especially last season, and that's going to actually be available for the spring game.
That is correct. So the Dutch Miller deck will be a $50 general admission ticket, obviously the same as it is on fall Saturdays, with all the seats available to you below, and obviously the deck up top. There will be food and beverage included in that, and yeah, $50 for that type of experience during any football game, whether it's spring ball or the good old fashioned fall football. It's a pretty nice ticket, and I think it's a great deal. But if that's not your style, you want to be sitting right at the 50-yard line. A $5 ticket can get you in the stadium. All seats is general admission for that, so you can get as good of a seat as you want as long as you show up early and cheer on our guys. Coach Gibson got some great talent in town, and we've got a great coaching staff all around, and some new but familiar faces on our coaching staff back. So I'm excited to see the football team and what they can offer us this spring.
As a guy who knows a thing or two about football, just maybe a thing or two, why should Herd fans be excited about this?
Yeah, well, I mentioned familiar faces on the coaching staff, but we've got familiar faces on both sides of the football as well, which is always great in an era where there's always a carousel of players and coaches. We've got, Carlos Del Rio Wilson back at quarterback as the signal caller there, and Toby Payne catching passes at tight end, Adrian Norton at wide receiver, and then Slappy leading the way with the offensive line. So I think when you can return a couple of core pieces of each room, and Joshawn Barbie at running back, when you can return each room has a significant leader like that, that's awesome. And then you look at Wody Smith on the defensive side of the ball, and Braden Ward, Cannon Lewis, several guys, Jason Clark even. I'm around all these guys, so they're a great group of kids, and I think that when you can go back to the stadium and see a familiar face in 2026 on the field, that's exciting, and the spring game should be a great way to display all of their talent.
Devin Miller's with us, Assistant Director of Athletics, Ticket Sales, and Operations at Marshall University. So the spring game's coming up soon. We've got softball hanging out at the Dots, always a good way to spend a weekend. Of course, Herd fans, you know that for the most part, they know how to get tickets to the softball match. If there is one or two open, is there one or two open? Where are we at right now there? I know that the dot's always hopping.
Yeah, no. So the dot is a first come first serve event. So it's hard to get a spot in those like the chair back seating right behind home plate. My best advice would be to show up early and get you a nice cold drink from the concession stand and some popcorn and get ready to see some of the best softball in the land. In my opinion, I think that's just fact at this point. But the best way to get those seats right behind home plate would just be show up early. And we do offer that, the bleacher seating down the first and third base lines. But it's always a good time to chill out at the dot. So
last time I checked, Marshall softball RPI was 33rd in the country.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty good, huh?
That's big time. Yeah, we got some great coaches over there too. They know what they're doing, and they compete against the highest level talent each year in and year out. And when we get to conference play and really get into the full swing of conference play, I know we'll show up and perform.
Devin Miller's with us, Assistant Director of Athletics, Ticket Sales, and Operations at Marshall University. This might swing towards one of your other colleagues, but I saw the announcement recently that there's going to be a new menu at one of the concession stands coming up this fall for football. It's really going to be a value proposition. What can you tell us about that and ways that the university and the athletic department are trying to make sure that everybody has a price point that they can come in and have a good time at Marshall?
Yeah, so our family price concession stand is going to be huge. So we offer, first and foremost, a family price season ticket. If you go on herdzone.com and type in family when you're checking out for your season tickets, they'll show you the sections where you can get $99 season tickets as long as you buy 4. So each ticket is $99 plus taxes and fees, and then right behind there will be family price concessions on that end of the stadium. So technically, you don't have to have the family price season ticket per se to enjoy that. So I know it's $2 popcorn, $2 hot dogs, and then we've got tons of great deals being added to the stadium as far as new food options. So be on the lookout for that. But you can get a $3 16-ounce fountain beverage, $5 nachos with cheese, $3 hot dog with sauce, and $5 pretzels there. And those will all be on the east side at Stand 12 in the Joan this fall. So like you said, we want to make it as easy as possible on the fan to enjoy the game. When they come in, you should be able to get popcorn and a drink for $5 and then go right to your seat. I mean, you can't really beat that anywhere else. I know there's some other competitors in the conference who've done other things, but that's I don't know if you can get that at a high school game for a $2 hot dog and $2 popcorn. So.
No, that's a great deal. Of course, some baseball parks used to do the dollar dogs, and that's always been a great value, especially if you take a family. So, if this is successful, will we see that maybe in different sports, or would you expand that in the stadium? I know this is probably too early to gauge the success there, but I've kind of got a feeling that that's going to be probably one of your top sellers when it comes to concession stands.
Yeah, we've got some great family-oriented ideas coming on the way. Another one with football that I think will be pretty huge and pretty unique. I always hate to say that on here and then not give any detail, but I do think we could expand the family price concessions into certain sections for basketball as well and baseball in the future.
Our guest is Devin Miller. He is the Assistant Director of Athletics, Ticket Sales, and Operations. The big one, of course, is the Marshall Women's National Invitational Tournament game. That's coming up Monday, 6 o'clock tip. If you don't have your tickets, you better get them now because I anticipate fair to say the lower bowl is probably going to be sold out soon if it isn't already there. Pretty safe to say it's getting close to capacity there.
Yeah. Yeah, the sales are going real well, and like I said, I don't think there's very limited people who haven't claimed their season ticket, and people are buying 3 or 4 at a time for the seats that were open. So
should be a fun game. Of course, if the Herd wins, we could possibly see another game, and Marshall could be right back here at the Henderson Center hosting again. I'm kind of hoping it's Ohio because it's always fun for the Herd to beat Ohio. And then, of course, I don't know how you feel about Youngstown State, but I would love to see the Herd beat Youngstown State in the next round.
oh yeah. No, it's good to get a couple of old foes like that to get a shot back at them, and the MAC days and beyond that we played against them. Fun fact about me is I scored my first touchdown against Ohio, so won the bell, brought the bell back to the Joan where it belongs, and that's where it stays. But I'm excited for this path. It's shaping up to be a proper ending.
I don't know if it'd be proper, but could we bring the bell out if it's Marshall and Ohio at the Henderson Center?
Yeah,
could we bring it out?
I mean, we might as well. We might have to get an impromptu reunion. I'll call a couple of guys from that 2019 team.
Start ringing the bell every time the Herd does something. Well, I'm here for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm in.
Devin Miller's with us. Have a good weekend, man. I'll talk to you soon. Assistant Director of Athletics, Ticket Sales and Operations. And, of course, we'll see everybody Monday at the Henderson Center for the Herd. And hopefully it's Ohio. I think that'd be a great matchup.
Yeah. We got the Henderson Center on Monday, and then we take on a WVU in baseball shortly after that. And then we've got season tickets on sale, spring game on sale for football, and all of that's available on herdzone.com. Just click that tickets tab, or feel free to call the 1-800-HERD-ZONE, and we'll get you taken care of.
I have to admit, I was so focused on the women's game on Monday. I knew we had the WVU game on Tuesday. I'm kind of anticipating maybe there's probably very little tickets left for that game. Is that fair to say that if you don't have them, get them now?
Yeah, no, there's limited tickets left. There are a few left even at our suite level, but the lower level is getting close for that one too. I know that's a highly anticipated matchup, no matter what sport or when we can play them in. But Tuesday that's at 6 p.m. as well, and we've got our friends from up north coming to town, right? That's what some people say.
Okay. Everybody get your tickets now. Head over to herdzone.com. And if you have questions, Devin's out there to help you. Devin Miller, our guest, the Assistant Director of Athletics, Ticket Sales and Operations. Good talking to you as always. Devin, we'll do it again soon.
Thank you, Paul. Always a good time being on the show. Have a great evening.
Thank you, sir. That's Devin Miller, everyone. Don't forget herdzone.com if you want tickets to that women's game on Monday. And the WVU game, a few tickets remain. I didn't even have it on top of my mind that there would be tickets left. So there are a couple of tickets left. If you haven't got those yet, you better go and get them now. We will hear from Marshall President Brad Smith, also Marshall Athletic Director Gerald Harrison, when we continue on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Metro Community Federal Credit Union now brings you all the tech that big banks have, but still has that personal touch of a member-owned community credit union. Apple Pay? Got it. Digital wallet? Yep. Message pay by text, online loan payments, even chatting with a real person, not a bot. Open accounts, sign documents, and manage your money all online. It's the big bank tech you need from the local community-minded credit union you trust. Metro Community FCU. Visit metrocommunityfcu.com today.
Stuck in a state of falling behind, struggling to keep up with kids, finances, insurance, and life? Well, let your State Farm agent help you simplify and get to a better state. With State Farm handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. More money, too. Adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40% and help you get ahead. Call an agent today and get to a better state with State Farm. In Huntington, Jeff Smith, 304-781-1234. And in Wayne, Vicki Tabor, 304-272-5149.
Buffalo Wild Wings, bringing wings, beer, and sports to the Huntington area. Join us starting Monday, March 9th at our brand new location, 970 Mall Road in Barbersville. Every game on the wall-to-wall TVs. Enjoy your favorite wings, sauces, burgers, plus a full bar. Bring the family and head out to Buffalo Wild Wings, 970 Mall Road in Barbersville. Come on, Huntington, it's back. Buffalo Wild Wings. Come in and get your game on at Buffalo Wild Wings.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Welcome back to today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We're going to hear from the president of Marshall University in just a few moments, Brad Smith. Also, we're going to hear comments from Gerald Harrison, the presser earlier this afternoon. Marshall University, after the Board of Governors, reinstating the swim and dive program at Marshall University. It was a process. Of course, there was a lawsuit that was about to be heard, and I think the university understood that this was going to be a costly lawsuit. And you don't know how long or how drawn out it would be, but this could have been a costly lawsuit. And maybe Marshall didn't get all the right information to begin with. And so you had to, and I don't want to say backtrack, but you had to change course from your original decision. And if you don't remember everything that went down, you can go back, and I posted it on X earlier as a refresher. You can hear comments from Gerald Harrison a few weeks ago as he was explaining why the swim and diving team, was being cut and why the financial numbers just weren't working to sustain this program. And so there were a lot of questions that were addressed today as the Thundering Herd athletic department making the announcement that swim and dive will be reinstated and stunt will continue. I had someone text earlier and ask about that, and stunt is going to still be explored. It's going to have to be. There's a gap right now, and you're going to have to make a concerted effort to do your due diligence and expand those opportunities and close that gap. Again, borrowing from former Marshall football coach Charles Huff with his catchphrase, it's true. You've got to close the gap here. Texter says, Paul, I hope those same people attend every swimming and diving competition. No disrespect to the student athletes, but how many fans really go to attend these competitions? I think there are a lot of people that you might be surprised. I'll tell you right now, I'll sometimes go on a Saturday, and I get to the Henderson Center a little earlier than some, and there's a lot of transition between what's happening, earlier in the day. There's an event going on, and then you got to transition over to basketball, and there's a lot going on. There are a lot of people that are there supporting the program. I know there hasn't been a mission charged. I don't know if that policy is going to have to change. Like, look, we can't just let you in for free. We got to start putting some dollars here, and this is a quick way to start generating some revenue And there was a lot of talk about endowment earlier today, and we're going to hear that here in a moment. But I'm with you. I hope that fans support the program. You don't go through the motions here, and you don't come out and be very vocal, very loud, and say, this is wrong, we want this program. Well, here the program is. You've saved it. And so now you've got to go support it. You can say you want things, but here it is. You have to now go out and support it. And I hope that that's the case. I hope that there is a renewed interest and there's a resurgence in fan attendance. If not already, I'd like to see more show up. Here's a different one from the text line, then we're going to get to our comments. Texter wants to know, my Final Four prediction. That's I haven't finalized that yet. I'm going to be almost chalk here. I'm going to go Duke. I'm going to go Arizona. I'm going to go possibly Illinois. No, I'm not going to Illinois. Houston. I'm going to go Houston. And I'm leaning a little towards Iowa State. Just a little. Kentucky could get interesting, but I'm leaning towards Iowa State there, not Michigan. I don't think Michigan's going to make it. Purdue could have something to say about that for Arizona, but I'm going to say right now, and I don't have this finalized, but Duke, Arizona, I'll probably say Houston, and I'll probably say Iowa State. I don't think it's going to be fully chalk with the ones. That's going to change tomorrow. My bracket is not finalized. We'll get more of your text, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. So, earlier today at the university for the press conference to talk about the decision to reinstate the swimming and diving program, and there was a question and answer session after the opening statements. And the first question was to Brad Smith, president of Marshall University, about what assistance, what tools could the Senate bill that was recently passed in West Virginia, what that could do for the university. And Brad Smith, pointed out that was Senate Bill 502 and explained what's in place at Marshall University and what that does for the university.
That was Senate Bill 502. It was actually originally drafted some time ago, and then we were able to offer our support of that, as did our peers at WVU and others. But I'll say also a very key moment of getting that passed was our student athletes, who did an amazing job. Madison and others were there. I got a call from the Speaker of the House that said, if this is the way Marshall students are, you've got the best students in the country. And so I want to give them full credit for going up, making sure their voices were heard, and presenting a very professional case for why this is important. What we did get from Senate Bill 502 is what already exists. We have 5 endowments for swim and dive, so do our other programs. There were attempts to consider things like tax incentives for donors or potentially a match, but there has been no money that's been put towards that yet. So what it did for us is just help us have a platform to tell the world that we need the collective support of all of those who care about these sports so that we can make sure that they're there. And then we'll continue to talk to the state to say, if you could create other sources of funds, you're now able to put public money into these endowments, which was not the case before Senate Bill 502 occurred. Is that correct, Tony?
Correct.
So we're very excited, we're very supportive, and most importantly, we're very proud of the student athletes who went up and made that case.
Now, I want to jump ahead in some of the comments. There was a question later in the session about cuts, and then there was a follow-up from Tony Stroud about Senate Bill 502. I just wanted to add that because it makes a little bit more sense here. Here's his, I guess, reinforcement of a question later on in the session about that.
We have 5 endowments now, so to the extent people are willing and able and ready, we can accept funding now privately for that. It's just a wait and see what happens on the state side, whether there is any public money put into the trust for women's Olympic sports.
So there's opportunities now. You can start opening up your checkbook. You can start making your contributions today. You could have done that weeks ago before the decision came down, and so you've got that opportunity, and we'll see what Senate Bill 502 ultimately means for Marshall University and the other institutions in the state. Now, I've got this question, so I've tried to ask as directly as I could. I was curious about what changes to the athletic budget had to be made, short term and long term, to make sure that the university is able to basically cover its expenses, operate the athletic department. And Gerald talked a little bit more to my question about what changes we might see to the athletic department budget.
There are some changes that we're going to have to make. We're going to look within. Again, as we work to work our way down to 50-50, which is, and work our way down and reducing our dependence on institutional support, we're going to have to do some things, and that's going to come with tightening our belt in some areas. We're going to have to reevaluate every aspect of our athletics department, what we do to make sure that we can fund not just swimming and diving, but we can also fund our new sport of stunt, and it's launched successfully here. But we'll do so very carefully. But yeah, there will be some definite impacts to all of our budgets and how we do things.
And then Brad Smith, president of Marshall University, wanted to add, and he wanted to expand on what those budget changes would mean.
I'm going to put that in broader context. We talked about this earlier this morning. So Marshall's privileged to be one of our state's flagship institutions, but we're also like many of our peers, not only in the state, but in the nation. So for the last 4 years, we've been navigating a structural deficit. All schools went through COVID. They got federal and state money that actually disguised the underlying fiscal challenges. And when that snow pile melted and you no longer had that funding, they realized that they were upside down, and we were too, to the tune of $28 million. It's like a credit card bill that's out there with interest. We do not have the legal right as a nonprofit to run that structural deficit. So we were given time to work through it. And we've worked it down from 28 to 17 to 10, and this year on track to be roughly 2, and then we'll be back to break even in fiscal year 27, which was our commitment to the board and to the state. But in doing that, we're also needing to address other things that are real in college, and that is we're trying to bring our pay raises up for our faculty and our staff to be at market levels. They were not at market levels. We have $300 million of deferred maintenance across Marshall University. We're 189 years old. $300 million. So to get the elevators to work, when the rain comes, we don't want the buildings to flood. All the things that you experience even when you're walking through the CAM and you'll see some water coming down. So those are all the things that we have to make the trade-offs and prioritize, and athletics is no different. That's why they've made the commitment. When we first started, they were 63% subsidized by the university. And we agreed 4 years ago we'd get to 50-50, which is where we should be and where others are. They've worked it down to 54.5, and they'll get to 50-50. And we'll do that together, but that means we're going to have to trade off things that we've historically done to be able to compensate for that. So it's very important, and I'm taking the time to do this because a couple years ago, we had to step out of a bowl game. And I got the passion, and I love the passion. I always tell my family, when you see people posting on social media, that's passion. Universities would pay for that. I love how much we care, but we lose money when we play bowl games. You get a subsidy from the conference that does not cover the cost of a bowl game. That doesn't mean we don't want to play a bowl game. I just want everybody to know that it's not like money that rains from heaven and you got a bowl game. So these are the things that I think you now see the University of Louisville doing. You're going to hear us talk about is, look, this is a reality we live in, but this is our pro team. This is Marshall University. We don't have a pro team in this state. We care, but the way we can make it viable is we all have to be willing to lean in and support. We will do it at the university. I know our fans will do it. They already do it. That's why we have buildings with everyone's names on it. But that's the reality we're facing. And no, when we actually made this decision to reinstate, we're going to have to make trade-offs elsewhere to fund the decision.
That's pretty blunt. There will be some belt tightening. There will be some trade-offs to fund these programs. And I think you heard the numbers there. University deferred maintenance, $300 million, and the deficit was $28 million, dropped to 17, dropped to 10, now it's about 2, and he was spot on. Bowl games, you lose money. You're not raking in the cash when you get to go to a bowl game, and he understands fans want to go to bowl games, and so that's going to be part of the equation from now until bowls cease to operate. But bowl games lose you money, and the university has got to manage this a little bit more. There was a question about facilities, something that Brad spoke to, and he addressed it in this session, about some of the ongoing campaigns to raise money. Also, you're going to have to upgrade facilities. That's just going to be part of the equation here. And he addressed that when it was asked.
Yes, so we have always an ongoing campaign, and many of you get outreach from Quarterback Club if you're a football fan, or Swim and Dive is going to be able to do that in a more organized fashion now as a result of this. But the university is kicking off a Marshall for All, Marshall Forever campaign that'll be a multi-year campaign to try to deliver on our strategy of every student graduating with no student loan debt. Then we have 3 buildings that were prioritized by the campus community in 2023 because they structurally need to be updated. One's, we need a School of Medicine. We're going to celebrate our 50th anniversary in 2027, and out of 156 schools in the nation, we're the only one without an independent School of Medicine building. The good news is we've received about 2/3 of that money now between the federal and state, and we're going to go fundraise the next. We've got a science building that we need to renovate. We also have Smith Hall for our creative arts. We need to renovate that. And then we have the priorities of athletics and also for students, and making sure we have emergency funds for students who may not have the money for food or other things when they come to us from their places. So we're kicking off that campaign at a university level. And then in athletics, we talked this morning, and the student athletes had amazing ideas on how we can work together with the Big Green to structure efforts to say, let's go out and energize this group who signed almost 20,000 people. I forgot, I lost the number. It was over 17,000. Was it 20? Well, how much was it? 25,000. There's 25,000 people who let their voices be heard, and they want to help mobilize them to say how you can lean in and help not only swim and dive, but all sports, Olympic sports, women's sports. So that's all going to be organized as a result of this.
Also, from today's presser, there's a gap. The Title IX gap. There is a gap. And so Gerald Harrison addressed what the athletic department is going to have to do, and as far as maximizing roster sizes. Also, he addressed the portal. You got to rebuild his team. Not everyone's coming back. There's probably going to be a core group of student athletes that will come back. After all, there were several that signed on to a lawsuit to save this program, so I expect them to be back. But Gerald talked about how they're going to have to maximize the roster sizes, and they're going to have to address the portal issue, make sure that they have a swim and diving team. And they're basically, I don't want to say they're starting from scratch, but they're going to have to rebuild and do it quickly.
Yeah, so there's a couple things. There are still student athletes that are in the portal. Hopefully they'll make a decision that they are daughters of Marshall, and we want them to stay here. And hopefully reinstating the program, many of them will stay. The ones that do not choose to go are the ones who choose to go on to another institution. We're going to work with Coach Ian and make sure that we can rebuild our team through recruiting efforts, and we're looking at conversations with scholarship dollars and different things like that would allow him to rebuild his team quicker.
Comments from Marshall Athletic Director Gerald Harrison. We need to take a break. We will come back and wrap this one up. It's The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
At Poca Valley Bank, a handshake can still mean the start of a great relationship. We've been greeting customers with a handshake since 1908. Why settle for less? If you're purchasing your first home or planning for your future, Poca Valley Bank is here to support you with personalized service and local expertise. They are your trusted advisors. Why settle for less when you can experience banking with a team that truly cares? Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Visit PocaValleyBank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Mike Rowe here with another random fact. Those cracks on your walls aren't just cosmetic. They could mean your home is sinking. Whether it's drywall cracks, exterior cracks, or sticking doors or windows, do yourself a favor. Call Groundworks. I spent some time working with these guys, and they're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to stabilize your foundation. Baker's Waterproofing and Basement Authority of West Virginia are now Groundworks. Schedule a free inspection.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Looking for midweek fun? Head to Frank's Place, where every night's a party. Wednesdays are full of brains and brews with trivia night. Grab your crew and show off what you know. Thursdays, crank it up with Singo Bingo. Music meets bingo for prizes and laughs. Then Fridays, we hand you the mic for karaoke night. Sing your heart out and start your weekend right. The fun never stops at Frank's Place. Great drinks, great friends, and good times. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check them out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Cold weather's on its way. And what do you want on those cold, chilly evenings? A warm blanket and a hot cup of cocoa. Well, you know who else wants the same comfort? Mice. Messy, uninvited guests. They sneak in and leave droppings, chew through your food and packages. Don't let mice take over your home this fall and winter. Call K&B Pest Control. We will kill for your business. Call today, 304-523-4281.
Our Kindred Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
Reyes Mexican Tanqueria and Cantina. Authentic flavors from Jalisco, Mexico. 234 3rd Avenue in Gallipolis, Ohio. And 218 General Hardinger Parkway in Middleport. The Arbors at Gallipolis, caring about you while caring for you.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talk Line, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Final segment for today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I think we got time for one more comment. I wasn't sure if we could get it in. This is from earlier today, presser, to talk about the reinstatement of the swim and dive program at Marshall University. And there was one question about where the cuts will come from in the budget. And Gerald Harrison, athletic director of Marshall University, talked about where the cuts will and won't come from. And Brad Smith said, hey, look, education, that's not where this is going to be coming from. And Gerald then commented about where they will be cutting and potentially and what they're not going to touch.
One thing we will not do and we're not going to sacrifice is the things that are surrounding our student athletes and the standard of care that they get. So the way we looked at it first in our athletics department, we're going athletic training, sports medicine, strength and conditioning, academic support, all that stuff. None of that will be impacted by this decision. We will start looking at different items. We haven't labeled it all out yet, but we'll look at different items that deal in our way we travel. Deal with our apparel contracts. We'll look at different revenue generation opportunities, and we're going to try to raise it. You know, I love the fact that there's 25,000 people who signed the petition. I'm challenging our Big Green folk to go reach out to every one of them and try to do that. Not just those, but the ones that support other sports, to try to do it so we don't have to cut too much and we can add because of new additional revenue. One thing we did, we launched Herd Hospitality and Entertainment a few months ago, and that's a new innovative revenue generation arm for us that we're going to start renting out our facilities like we did with the concerts. Right now, all of our facilities are available, and that's another way we're looking to hope to generate revenue so we don't have to cut as much to support both sports, but we can spread it around and get new energy and new money into the department.
So the quest to generate more money is on. The revenue is going to have to come in to support this decision, which ultimately is probably the right decision because the legal hurdles that the university was about to encounter, I don't think you mess with Title IX. The more and more I understand about the road ahead for the Thundering Herd and the athletic department, if Marshall would have continued on this path, I feel like that would have been a challenge and a difficult journey to take, and it would have been costly. It's going to cost a lot of money to fight this. So Thundering Herd making the decision today, the Athletic Department University Board of Governors, to reinstate swim and dive. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for being a part of it. I'll be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 in spirit. We got March Madness tomorrow. Basketball begins at noon all the way till after midnight. Don't forget, we've got First Four action coming up tonight as well. All begins at 6:30. Have a great night, everyone.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.